Alright, so in this video, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be playing the Street Fighter mobile games. But I want to clarify some rules before I get into the gameplay. So I will only be playing games that were made for mobile exclusively. So the Street Fighter ports will not be in this video. So that includes like the Street Fighter 2 port and the games like that. And the reason why is because they were not meant to be played on a phone. They just were made available on a phone. So I want to only play the games that were meant only strictly to be played on a phone. So we'll be covering those games only. And then the next rule I want to set up is I will be ranking these games depending on like their gameplay and then how close are they to an actual Street Fighter game, right? So there will be like 2 separate rankings out of 10, how close it is to an actual Street Fighter game, and then how good the game is in general, right? So without further ado, we're going to get into our first game here. Okay, so here's the first game, Street Fighter Duel. So the best way to describe this game is that it's a gacha fighting game, kind of like Mortal Kombat Mobile, where it's card-based. So you have these cards, right? And you use those cards, and the cards are essentially just characters, but you can level them up by getting them multiple times, by drawing them, and lucky draws. So here's all the characters. So we have Gen, and each character has their own special abilities, and basic attacks, and supers, just like Street Fighter does, right? So pretty much all the characters are just identical to their Street Fighter counterparts. We have Gen, we have Akuma here, which I have. We have Gouken, you know, the master of Ryu and Ken. We have Rose. We have Trendy Cammy, which is an alternate outfit. We have Toast Gen, once again, an alternate outfit. We got Trendy Ryu here. Athlete Chun-Li. Trendy Dhalsim. Dante. So here's the first licensed character in this game. It's Dante from Devil May Cry. Pretty sick. He has his own abilities as well that are of, you know, Devil May Cry stuff. Here we have Leonardo from Ninja Turtles. Here we have Raphael from the Ninja Turtles. Then we have Luke from Street Fighter 6. Then we have his best buddy, JP. Well, not really best buddies, but you know what I mean. Also from Street Fighter 6. Then we have a version of Ibuki where she has summer clothes. We have a Rose variant. We have Firecracker Sakura, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be the evil version of Sakura. Then we have Richie Honda, which, as my knowledge, is the best character in this game. We have a version of Ibuki here, where she has like Ronin armor. Here we have Juri, everyone's favorite female character. We have Seth, the boss, obviously. We have M. Bison, Balrog, Vega. So we have all the 4 kings here, obviously, as well as Sagat. Here we have Evil Ryu. Sagat, obviously, the last king. There are no Street Fighter 5 characters, so no Fang. Here we have Oni. We have Juri, which is just a gooner character, pretty much. We have Gore Mangala Ken, which is from Monster Hunter, if I recall correctly, pretty sure. Here we have Virgil from Devil May Cry. Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles. Donatello from Ninja Turtles. I had to get this one because Donatello is my favorite ninja, and he has some pretty cool abilities in this game as well. Here we have a version of Vega, where he has more traditional Spanish clothing. We have Pharaoh Sagat, which is kind of goofy. He's not from Egypt either, so I don't know why he has that. We have a version to Capri, Chief Viper, Hugo, Overlord Bison, which is like an alpha version of him. Summer Poison, one of the new characters added, Horror Hakan, which is like the villain from Hercules, pretty much. We have Shadow Cammy, which is just the Cammy from Alpha, which she's still a Shadow doll. Chun-Li. Guile. Abel. Cammy. Guy. Yoon. Yang. Here we got T-Hawk. El Fiorte, everyone's favorite grappler, of course. Here we have Zangief. Street Poison, which is like the Final Fight version of Poison. Elena, well, not the Final Fight version, but you know, she has more Final Fight attire. We have Trendy Akuma. Royal Balrog. Saikyo Dan, which is just a joke character, pretty much. A Japanese clothing of Sakura. We have Blanca, E Honda, Zangief, Poison, Elena, Makoto, Mad Ryu, because they need both Mad and Evil Ryu, of course. Combat Guile, Mummy Dalzin, Suit Abel, which is from Street Fighter V, if I recall correctly. Trendy Guile, and he's pretty much the only Street Fighter V character in this game, by the way. We have Charming Dudley, which reminds me of Don Flamingo from Punch-Out. We have the baddest Jury, because why not? Got Action Guy, which kind of looks like Bruce Lee a little bit. From like Rush Hour or something like that. We got another Rose. Here's the newest character they just added, Horror Oni. We got Dalzin, Hugo, Sea Viper, Adon, DeCapri, Fei Lon, DJ, Dudley, Mayor Cody, Cammy and Vega, which are a stance character, which is pretty neat. Then we have Summer Yang. My bad, sorry. I'll go back to the characters. Accidentally misclicked. It happens. Here we have Fire Adon. A version of Makoto. Cammy. Summer Cody. Flame Chun-Li. Fashion Sakura. Fashion Blanca. Ibuki. Here we have Nero from Devil May Cry. Now we have Master Shredder from Ninja Turtles, which is pretty cool. We have Christmas Rufus, because why not? We got Fashion Ken, which is kind of cool looking. We've got Hydro Chun-Li, because they need both fire and water versions of Chun-Li for some reason. Here we have Trendy Elena, which is from her lore, where she goes to Japan. Here's Agent Sea Viper. Here's a version of Guile, where he looks like a security guard or something. Here we have Fashion E Honda. Santa Blanca. And Vacation DJ, another new character they just added. It's interesting because he also has the Street Fighter 6 like focus attack right there. So that's pretty weird. That outfit is not in 6, so I don't know why he has that. There's Ibuki, there's Cody. Then we have Rufus. Then we have Dan, because of course, we need Dan. Sakura. Ryu. The starter character. Here we have Hakan. Then we have Ken Masters, the other starter character. And then we have Rolento. Now we're going to move on to this game's unique characters. So for starters, we have Metro City Mad Gear gang members. We have Hody, which is a alcoholic, pretty much. Then we have Sanji, the first character you get in the game. He's basically a knifey, stabby guy that just stabs you a bunch of times. Then we have Gary, which is just a beat-em-up brawler with a baseball bat. And that's the last Metro City Mad Gear character. Now we have Shadow characters. So we have Philip. He has 2 like swords, pretty much. Then we have Ron, and he's just a boxer. He's basically Ed, for the most part. Then we have Bethany, and she's basically just her own thing. She's just her own character for the most part. She doesn't really have any relation to anything else. We have Mech Seth, which is a variant of Seth before he was finalized. It says it in the lore here if you want to pause and read that. But pretty much he was just not a fully complete version of Seth. Now we have a Kobe. I don't know how they pronounce that. But he is, I think, a Mad Gear gain as well. And then we have Patrick, which is also Mad Gear, I'm pretty sure. He just uses guns. Then we have Caroline, which is from Shalu as well. And she's an energy rocket launcher girl, I suppose. And then we have Baldwin, the heavy from SIN and Shalu. So that sums up all the original characters and original costumes for this game. So now we're going to go into the gameplay. So pretty much the gameplay is online modes, training mode, all this stuff. And then the story, but pretty much the game has the same gameplay throughout all. Now here's draw, by the way. So this is how you get the characters. So you pretty much hit the draw, and then you get a random character. You get up to 10 random characters. And you get one of these cards, you own the card, you own the character, right? If you get a duplicate, that levels up the card to be better. So, right, you have A tier, you have A plus tier, then you have S tier, and then S plus tier, right? A character gets to S plus tier if you get that same character multiple times, right? So that's how that works. Now we're going to get into the gameplay. So the gameplay is kind of like a tag fighter, kind of in a way. So you have normal attacks, right? Then you use a special attack. And the special attacks change, so you want to make sure you have characters that can actually change properly with the combos. And pretty much that sums up the entire gameplay. As far as I'm aware, the meta of this game, like online, pretty much just results around people playing highly defensive tank teams. So they just tank all your hits while simultaneously doing a shit ton of damage to your team, defeating your entire team before you can really do any damage to them. And that's why I said earlier that Kingpin E Honda is the best character, to my knowledge, and it's because he's the best defensive tank character in the game. And that's why. So here we go, we have victory. And that pretty much sums up this game's gameplay. So if I had to rate this game, like being close to a Street Fighter game, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10 because it has majority of the characters and it has the fundamentals and it has the lore, right? So I would give it a 6 out of 10 for Street Fighter, but in of its own, as its own game, I'd probably give this game, looking at other card fighters on the mobile scene, this would probably be around a 7 or an 8 out of 10 in my personal opinion. Because this game gets more updates and it has more content than most card fighter games do, like MK Mobile for an example. Not to mention that this game has very good stylized graphics and can be addicting sometimes. So overall, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. And now we're going to start with our next game, which is kind of an honorable mention spot. Here we have Teppen. Now this game is not exactly a Street Fighter game, but it is a mobile game that has Street Fighter stuff in it, and it is a fighting card game just like Duel. So we're going to showcase this game. So as you can tell, this game has Adventure Mode, Hero Stories, Chronicles, Practice, and it has online modes as well, just like Street Fighter Duel. So this game relies more heavily on card gameplay than Duel did. Whereas Duel is more of a tag fighter, this game is more of an actual card game. Kind of like a Pokemon card game or, card games in that genre more so. So you have decks, right? Now, these characters of the decks are essentially the main characters of the game that have their storylines for their game. So we have 801, which is obviously Resident Evil. We have this girl, I don't know where she's from. We have the dog from Akami, right? So he has this Akami storyline. We have Monster Hunter Cat thing. We have Zero for Mega Man. And we have Akuma for Street Fighter storyline. We have Nero for Devil May Cry storyline. We have Jill for the Resident Evil, again, as well. And we have a Dragon for Monster Hunter. We have Albert Wesker for Resident Evil, of course. Then we have Dante for, obviously, Devil May Cry. Then we have Morgan for Darkstalkers, Chun-Li for Street Fighter. Then we have X for Mega Man X, duh. Then we have Rathalos for, Monster Hunter, and Ryu for, obviously, Street Fighter. Ryu has, Evil Ryu. All these have skins of different characters, as you can obviously tell. Albert has Battle Albert, and pretty much just every character has their own outfit. Some of them changed the character entirely, like this one. Also, Zero has Virgil, which is kind of funny. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so you have those main deck cards, the main characters of the game. And then you have, like, support cards, right? And there's a hell of a lot of these things. It's so much that I'm not going to bother showcasing all of them, because if I even did, it will legitimately make this video like 4 hours long, probably even longer than that. Pretty much all the cards are unique characters. These are how you buy them, by the way, from packs. But anyways, every single card is like its own character, its own art and everything. And some of them are really cool because they reference multiple Capcom platforms. Like right here, we have DJ from Street Fighter 6. We have Lee Fane from Street Fighter 6. But yeah, so there's a way. Yeah, so this is a lot of stuff here. I'm kind of lost, honestly. I forget how to view every card. So here we go. Here's how you view all the cards. So I don't have every single one. So some of these arts are going to be black and white, or blue here in this case. But some of these cards are actually really sick and are just references. Here we have Genji from, damn, what's the game called? I forget. Damn, I can't believe I forget the name of the game. Holy shit. We got Ryu here. Captain Commando. Genji's from Captain Commando. That's the game. Captain Commando is an amazing game, by the way. That was Luke and Bosch back there. Guile. Some newspaper. I don't know. But yeah, so we got Nash and M. Bison. So yeah, there's a lot of Street Fighter cards. But for the most part, it's just a bunch of... Oh, there's Darkstalkers. I think his name's Dimitri, right? Yeah. But yeah, so... here's Lucia down there. Yeah, there's Lucia. But yeah, so pretty much... This game is just a card fighter game of all Capcom IPs. So if you have a favorite Capcom character, they're most likely in this game. Even like characters that don't really get that much of screenplay. For example, like Remy from Street Fighter 3, he's probably a card in this game. I wouldn't doubt it. I know that Sean Matsuda is, so if Sean is a card, I'm pretty sure most characters will be in this game. Let's click on this one. It's Dead Rising X Street Fighter 6, which is really cool. We got Jury here. We got a TV Gain member from the World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6. We got Kimberly. Frank West, which is awesome. I love Dead Rising, so seeing Dead Rising crossing over with Street Fighter characters like this is really cool. We got Isabella Keys. Ted and Snowflake from Dead Rising 2. There's also Dead Rising 3 cards in this game, which I was surprised to see because Dead Rising 3 is kind of in like an Xbox only limbo, so I was surprised to see that they licensed it out in this game. We have the twins from 2 as well. But yeah, we got the manager versus E Honda. I love this card. It's funny. We got Aki. The Queen Wasp. Steven, the manager, of course. But yeah, we got Retsu here from Street Fighter 1, which is really cool to see. Isabella again. We got the Watcher from World Tour. And then we got Darlene the Fatty from Dead Rising 3, which is really cool to see here. And we've got some other cards of recognizable characters, as you can see. We got Carlos Miyamoto from Final Fight 2, I think it was. Maybe 3, I'm not sure, I forget. Haven't played the Final Fight games in a really long time, so I honestly don't really remember. Pretty sure he's from 2, though. The one that had Maki in it. But yeah, so, I might as well show the gameplay here. So let's click Adventure, Memory Quests. And these are where the storylines are. So you have Street Fighter, Mega Man, Resident Evil, Ace Attorney, Monster Hunter, Darkstalkers, Akami, as well as Devil May Cry, right? So you have a lot of mainline games here for story mode. We're going to do Street Fighter for the case of this video, obviously, because we're doing Street Fighter after all. Oh, it's Sagat's stage. It looks like the Street Fighter 5 version. Looks like our first opponent here is Sakura, so let's fight her. and show you what this gameplay is all about, in case if you wanted to give this game a try, or wondered if card games, you like card games, and wanted to see what this is about. I'll show you the gameplay here. So pretty much you have a deck of cards you can swap before playing, or you can keep it. And pretty much how this game works is that you have cards on the left side, and they send like an arrow over, right? So that arrow will attack another card, and depending on how much damage you do to that card, will destroy it. You can also have boost cards, which can do different effects to enemy cards or your own cards, or your character, right? My character is Ryu for this case. Their character is Sakura. So I do an assist card, and now I don't really know what's going on, honestly. I'm kind of just doing random stuff here. Just seeing where arrows go. I mean, it's beginner friendly. It tells you where to place the cards. So, I mean, it doesn't really tell you what they... Like, it tells you what they do. I just don't know. All I know is I see line and I place on line. Ooga booga. You know what I mean? That's pretty much all I'm doing here. But, eventually, once you get all three cards on the side... There's Sean Matsuda, by the way. And I have Zeku as well. Don't forget, I know who these characters are. But, yeah, so eventually, when you have your arrows go over and touch their side that's unprotected by the card, you damage their main character. So Sakura's going to take damage here. Now she has 10 health, see? So when that happens, there's Maki. I love Maki, by the way. I really want her in a new Street Fighter game so bad. She's really cool. But anyways, eventually their enemy, once they does a lot enough damage, they die, right? Your main character has a super. That thing at the left that is reused is glowing. I'm trying to drag it here, but I couldn't use it in time, sadly. Sakura is going to die soon, and I just don't have enough time to use it because she has no cards placed. I tried to place it there, but I won before, so sadly I couldn't do that. But yeah, so pretty much that's this gameplay. You kind of just use cards, and it's like a true card fighter, right? Like an actual card game. Not like Duel or MK Mobile. Like MK Mobile and Duel are just fighting games with cards in them. They're not like actual card games. This is a real card game. So if this is something that you like, I'm sure this game will be a blast for you, especially if you love Capcom IPs, because this game is pretty much the house of Capcom in all terms relating it, pretty much. But yeah, so for the most part, if I was to... I just got a pop. For the most part, if I was to rate this game, based off of being a Street Fighter game, I'd have to give it a 2, because the gameplay's not there, and it's just not a Street Fighter game. But if I had to rate this game on its own as a card game, I would probably give it like an 8 to 9 out of 10. I don't know much about card games, though, so don't take that as my word. Like, I might not be fully correct with this rating or anything, but I'd rate it a 9 out of 10. I think it's a really cool game, especially for the part that there's just so many IPs in this game, so many characters. It's actually insane. Like, it literally takes hours to see every single one if you actually wanted to. And the other cool part is that all the art in this game is done by real artists, and you can see it on the cards as well when you click on them.
Street Fighter 4.
Okay, so here we are for our last game, Street Fighter 4 Champion Edition. So, this game is a version of Street Fighter 4, but I count it as its own thing because it's a lot more different, and it's more of a hodgepodge of every single Street Fighter 4 edition. So this game is online. There's my win rate with Abel. Haven't played much of it. This game is still players that play it somehow. You have the store, where you can buy titles and icons, just like in Street Fighter games in general, pretty much. I have FA1 one unlocked here, but then obviously you have solo, other for settings too, and then the main menu is just the main menu, right? There's also an inbox that tells you new updates, and this game recently got one in February, so this game still gets updated. Not as much as the other games though, but they have challenge mode, which is basically this combo trial from the mainline Street Fighter games. But I guess we'll talk about the roster here. So this game's roster is pretty much a mix of all Street Fighter games, or Street Fighter 4 games. I mean, you have Gouken, Sakura, Ryu, E Honda, Blanca, Guile, Balrog, Sagat, Akuma, Rose, Guy, Poison, Cody, Ken, Chun-Li, Guy, Zangief, my head, Dawson, Vega, and Bison. Phalon, I have a gold star on him because I've done all his combo trials. Elena, Evil Ryu, Ibuki, Dudley, Makoto, Yoon, not Yang. Yoon is by himself again. Sea Viper, Abel, Cammy, DJ, Jury, and Dan. So this game is weird because it has normal Street Fighter 4 characters but is missing other ones. And then it has ultra characters like Elena but is missing characters like Hugo and stuff. And then there's arcade characters like Yoon but no Yang, right? So, and there's some super characters by themselves. So every character has 2 colors as well, by the way. So only 2 colors, no outfits. And I'll just run up a combo trial here and explain the base gameplay of this game. It's pretty much just normal Street Fighter, really. You have walk stick dashing, special moves, punching, kicking, focus attacks, and, different 6 buttons. You have your super, and then you have ultra, right? Which is an ultra cinematic. Right, so that's pretty much this game. So it's pretty much just Street Fighter 4, but, different, because it's its own version. Let's just get this combo trial done here. But yeah, so this game is definitely a strange thing because it's pretty much like Street Fighter Ultra 4, like Street Fighter 4 Ultra, but it's just missing stuff. I don't know, it's weird to explain. You have replay, obviously, for your replays. Obviously, that's what that is. Training mode, you have survival mode, which is survival mode. It just goes on forever. And then there's arcade. And arcade is obviously arcade. Have all your normal settings that you'd expect for an arcade mode. Let's just go for a character story here. Let's play... I'm gonna play Phalon for this video because I like Phalon in this game. He's really fun to play. Our first opponent here is Blanca. Alright, and we're in. So one thing you'll notice about this game instantly is the backgrounds are pretty much 2D assets that consists of the floor and the background, right? And it's made in a 3D space where it's basically a box where you just have the floor and then the background that are connected, right? But let's fight this guy. So another thing that I would say about this game that's kind of interesting, you probably notice on the title select screen, or character select screen, I mean, Seth is not available as a playable character. That's because he's just not in this game at all. The main villain in this game is M. Bison instead, which is kind of interesting, I suppose. And I'll show the gameplay here. You can also fight against your rival in this game, just like in normal Street Fighter 4. However, it's not your actual like rival in the games. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, for an example, you'll play as like Akuma, right? And then once you get to your fight your rival part, instead of fighting like Gouken, you just fight Ryu. Which, I mean, depending on which part in the lore does kind of make sense, but I just find it weird if some characters' rivals aren't their actual rivals, even though the characters are in the game. Just doesn't make much sense. Another good example would be Dan. For Dan, instead of fighting Sakura as a rival like he does in actual Street Fighter 4, instead he fights Blanca, which is just kind of, I don't know. But I'll showcase the rival cutscene, and then I'll showcase the M. Bison fight. So here's the fight your rival part. Now, this is interesting because in this game, Phelan's rival is Abel, whereas it should be DJ. I don't know, it's just really weird. But, so now we have the final stage, the boss of this game, M. Bison. So here's the M. Bison fight. Just gonna probably skip to the end of the fight because, I mean, it's nothing really unique. It's just normal M. Bison. It's not like he has different stuff or anything from normal Street Fighter 4. So I'm just gonna skip this.
Limits you feel are all in your head. Ignore them.
You win!
Okay, and now we get to see the character's ending because we beat arcade mode, right? Well, not exactly. You see no ending when you beat the game. So that kind of sucks, not gonna lie. Okay, so now we can talk about what I would rate this game. So being close to a Street Fighter game, it's like a 7 or 8 out of 10. 8 or 9, right? 7 through 9 out of 10, I would say. Because it's a Street Fighter game. It's the closest you're going to get to actual Street Fighter gameplay. Now, if I had to rank this game on of its own, 3 out of 10, maybe. I don't know. It's just not that good. Yeah, thanks for watching.
We await your return, warrior.